Welcome to a new video. Let's take a look at some new I don't work here stories. The first story is called Karen Thinks She Has One. I work as a point of sale technician. My job is essentially driving around with a truck full of touch screens and receipt printers doing service calls at grocery stores and other places. We are servicing pretty much any company that doesn't have its own dedicated tech team. Many times each day I'm confused for staff, and it's completely understandable since I'm usually behind a counter somewhere and working with the computer. But I do what I can to avoid customer contact. I dress in all black, have no name tag, carry tools with me, avoid eye contact and get in and out as quickly as possible. This works most of the time, but otherwise, I have no problem explicitly telling people, sorry, I don't actually work here, but they can help you on the other till. Anyway, on this day, I had a call at a grocery store because one of the till's serial ports stopped working. Basically, I have to crack open the computer case, replace the PCI card, plug everything back in, install drivers and then reassign all the hardware to their new ports within the POS software. This story begins with me just at the point where I've unplugged everything and have the computer pulled out from its compartment. I pop up from under the counter and see some lady unloading a cart onto the conveyor belt. She's on her phone. I give her a little wave and say, "This lane is actually closed, sorry for the inconvenience," but she continues unloading the cart. I point at the register closed little pyramid thing that's sitting on the conveyor directly in front of her slowly growing pile of groceries. She gives me a little hand wave gesture and rolls her eyes but continues unloading. All bets are off. I make a show of slamming the computer down in front of her. I unscrew the case, pop it open, and remove the PCI card. She's done unloading the cart and looking antsy and watching me. By the time I have the things plugged back in and turn the computer on, she's off the phone. She asks, "What's taking so long?" And I said, "I told you this lane was closed, you should try the other lane." But she insisted, "I already unloaded my cart, I'm not waiting in line again." She literally didn't wait in line to begin with. I say, "Well, this till is going to take about 45 more minutes, you're welcome to wait it out." And this is the point where she starts to get really angry. "This is ridiculous, where is your manager?" So I tell her, "In his office, in this major city where we're based. I don't work here, I'm fixing the computer and it's going to take a while." She stands around for a good 10 minutes while I'm installing drivers until a manager walks by and she flags him down. She tells him about how rude I was being and how I was making her wait and wait and wait. So I say, "I told her the lane was closed." And the manager asks, "How much longer will this take?" So I am guessing, half an hour? And he said to her, "Okay, well, I'd be happy to help you at the customer service desk." And this woman thinks she has one. Finally some service. She loads her cart up again and walks it over to the customer service desk with a smug grin on her face. "Lady, you didn't win anything. There were open registers the whole time. You literally wasted your own time arguing with me, then did the exact thing you were complaining about while feeling proud of yourself." The next story is called, I Will Get You Fired. I work at a college, not as a teacher or teacher's assistant but as Dynamics 365 specialist. I'm in the IT department, but I am not the guy who comes to your desk to fix your computer, I am an expert in a specific system. This all means that while I do work here, I do not work here, where here is the desktop services team. One day, I'm at work in the IT office and I hear a knock on the door. For reference, the actual area we work in is on the second floor of a building. The other floors are used for storage and there is a single staircase that connects them. At the bottom of that staircase is an access control door. If you don't have the code, you're not getting in. So I get up, lock my PC, head downstairs, and open the door. I am faced with some random teacher holding a laptop who shoves it at me and says, "This is broken, fix it or give me a new one and do it now." My response is the classic, "Sorry, I'm not part of the desktop services team. If you would like to leave me the ticket number for the ticket you've raised, then I'll get one of the technicians to contact you when they get back." And with that, the teacher engages Karen mode. "Give me a new computer. You IT people, you're all so lazy, all you do is play computer games all day, we know you always lie to us." She goes on but I stopped listening. I respond with a repetition of the previous statement and when she doesn't listen, I just close the door on her. This is where it gets really fun. Her response is to throw the laptop at the door, which destroyed the laptop. Then she shouts that she is friends with the head of IT and will get me fired as she storms off. So, I pull out my phone and call my boss. Coincidentally, my direct boss is the head of IT services and she is amazing to work for. I explain what just happened and ask her what I should do. She asks me if the asset tag on the laptop is still in the wreckage by the door. Happily, it is. This lets us find out who is the person responsible for the laptop. Long story short, my boss talks to her boss, and she gets fired for gross misconduct and destruction of company property. The last story is called, I Am the Mailman. I was working as a holiday helper for a UPS. As holiday helpers, they had us wear cheap brown vests with a small company logo on them. You'd think that would be enough, but apparently not. Although we mainly dropped packages off at people's houses, we also went through a shopping plaza to drop off stuff at different stores. We were dropping stuff off at Kroger when this happened. The way it worked was that I would take a cart loaded with packages into Kroger along with a scanner we used to log in packages and mark off deliveries. I usually did this delivery alone because it was simple and my driver could use the time to organize other stuff. So off I go, into the store, with a decent amount of packages stacked up on the trolley, where I roll them over to customer service. Usually, there's someone behind the desk when I come in, but sometimes the employee is out on the floor helping someone find something like they were on this day. Standard practice for me is to unload all the boxes behind the counter and then just wait until an employee comes back to sign off on them. So, I unload all the boxes, stack them behind the counter, and then lean up against it to wait for someone to come by. While I'm waiting, I casually take out my phone and begin browsing the web to pass the time. Then I heard some clear her throat behind me. I looked up to see some 50-something-year-old lady scowling at me, with a cart packed to the brim with food. She had graying blonde hair done in the Karen style and was wearing a bright pink Nike top, blue leggings, and about 2 metric tons of attitude. We stared at each other for a moment and her expression soured with each passing moment like the milk that was undoubtedly curdling in her cart. Finally, she broke the awkward silence. She asked, "Well?" I shrugged, "Well, what?" She shoved her cart forward, almost bumping me with it. "Are you gonna keep ignoring me or are you gonna check me out?" I looked at her, then down at my uniform, which consisted of a grey hoodie, black sweatpants, and my trademark brown vest. Kroger employees wear black khakis, blue-collared shirts, and no brown vests. I looked back up at her, trying to remain polite, and say, "I don't work here, lady, I'm just dropping off packages." The sour woman scoffed and jabbed a finger at my scanner. "You're just too lazy to help me, start scanning these." She shoved the cart at me again, this time bumping my thigh, "Or I'll get your manager." I wasn't sure why she didn't go to the standard checkout line either, but I guess if things got really busy, Kroger allowed customers to go through the customer service desk too. The problem was, it wasn't very busy in any way. Now, I could have taken the easy way out, told her to politely screw off, and left. But she took her phone to make a call and snapped her fingers at me, mouthing, "Come on, I have to be somewhere." So I decided to help her out and began to unload her groceries, one by one, in the most tedious manner possible. I scanned each fruit, can, veggie, and box with my scanner, which is normally used for recording people's addresses. Funnily enough, it didn't know where the kiwi or the rotisserie chicken live, but it does make a satisfying little bleep when it rejects an address that sounded quite similar to a product being scanned. I kept doing this for about 10 minutes, often mis-scanning something or inspecting it, much to the woman's annoyance. From time to time, I'd interrupt her phone call to ask her a ridiculous question, such as, "Would you like to add another grape to this bunch? There's one in here with a spot." She would usually answer with a huffy, "What?" and stare into space as she slowly worked through the question, and then shake her head sharply as she went back to her conversation. She reached her breaking point when I inquired as to whether or not she wanted her eggs bagged individually or all together. She began screaming to this. I stood there, scanner in one hand, egg crate in the other, looking completely innocent while trying my best not laugh too much. I could swear I heard her mind briefly shutting down at the stupidity of my question, before rebooting. Calmly and with a polite smile, I repeated the question. Her face was almost as purple as the grapes I'd offered to discount as she struggled to form words. She croaked and her manicured nails were digging into her trembling palms. "What kind of a stupid question is that?" I placed the eggs back in the bag while nodding sympathetically. "The kind I ask someone who's too stupid to not take the hint that I don't work here." By this point, the Kroger employee working the customer service desk returned and the lady turned on him with the fury of God. "How can you let an employee treat me this way? I shop here all the time. How dare you treat a valued customer like that?" To their credit, the customer service worker took this attack pretty well, holding their hands up in a gesture as they tried to calm the lady down. Then they looked from her to me and back to her and simply reiterated what I said. "Ma'am, he doesn't work here." I was fascinated to see the doubling down when you're wrong mentality in action, but to my surprise, all the wrath leached out of this harpy in 2 seconds flat. It was the look of someone who realized the only way they'd save face in a situation like this was to simply drop it. She pursed her lips at the employee's words and looked at my brown vest as if thinking I was somehow still defying her logic. "Well," she said coldly, "you just lost a customer." Then, quick as she'd arrived, she turned on her heel with a flip of her grey attitude do and stormed off. I was tempted to say that was more of a win, but figured I'd antagonized her enough. Holding out my scanner for a signature, I asked if the employee had ever encountered her before. She said she had, but never that angry. She was usually just demanding and arrogant to anyone else when she shopped there. After getting the signature, I helped her repack everything and asked if she needed me to help her take it back, but she said no. It was worth it just getting another really bad customer out of the store. Once everything was settled, I returned to the delivery van. This entire ordeal only lasted about 15 minutes. My driver, Jeff, wasn't too angry. He'd arranged the rest of our packages while I was delivering and just told me to be faster next time. Then we continued about our day. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great day, bye bye.